Hi, welcome back. Today we're talking about stretching, different types of stretching, which ones to do, how to do them, when to do them to improve your Taekwondo skills. Five main types of stretching that we use at Taekwondo. I'm going to go through them all and tell you which ones to do, how to do them, which ones are going to benefit certain aspects of your Taekwondo. First type of stretching I'm going to talk about is dynamic stretching. So if you want to be able to kick high, dynamic stretching is definitely a must-do stretching exercise. We tend to do it in every class. Apchaligi, front rising kicks. Yokchaligi, side rising kicks. So a front rising kick is where we're just bringing our leg up straight up to the front with a nice straight leg, good posture, raising our legs up nice and straight and back in a dynamic motion, but fully under control. So we're just lifting and getting our legs going higher and higher. A side rising kick, which you can do holding on, is very similar, bringing your leg up sideways to the side as so. Okay, so dynamic stretching you can do as much as you can. It's good as a warm-up. You can do it daily. Quite often it's a good idea first thing in the morning. Sometimes if I'm boiling the kettle, just throw up front. 10 front rising kicks on each leg, 10 side rising kicks on each leg, and just get that movement in your legs daily. And at the start of the class, it is a good warm-up exercise to get your legs moving with a dynamic stretch. Second type of stretch I'm going to talk about is ballistic stretching. You don't tend to do this too often in classes. This is mainly should be done at the end of a session so your body is fully warm, and it looks like and can sometimes be confused with a ballistic stretch with a dynamic stretch because the leg is still going up and down the same. But the difference being in a ballistic stretch, you are throwing that leg up out of control, so it's pushing the leg past where its natural limit would be, and it's stretching those muscles even more so than you would do with a dynamic stretch. So only after you've done a full session, you're not going to be doing anything else that evening, then you might perform a ballistic stretch. And again, I wouldn't recommend you do this one too often, but if you want to increase your dynamic flexibility, if you can put in some ballistic stretching throughout your week, maybe when you've got a rest day the following day, to allow your muscles time to recover and adapt to their newfound positions. The next type of stretching is static stretching. This is where you may sit down on the floor and get your legs spread out wide with your toes pointing up and hold that position in a stretch. You can do this sort of stretching at home. You can do it sitting down watching the telly. Lots of different stretches you can do statically. The seated side stretch, a seated front stretch, butterfly stretch, pigeon pose. Lots of different types of stretching that you can do statically. But the main purpose of static stretching is to get your legs used to a position which is further than their current range of motion. So it's a good idea to practice static stretching when you're at home, when you've got a night off, to sit down watching telly, playing on a PlayStation or Xbox, sat down in a nice seated position, legs out wide, toes pointing up, and then gradually, as you're distracted by doing whatever task it is you're doing seated, then you can get used to this position. So with stretching, it's not a case of actually physically pulling these muscles and stretching them longer. It's a case of making your legs go further and relaxing the muscles in that position, because when your legs get to a certain position, everything in your body tenses, tightens all the muscles because they want to protect your body. They don't want your legs to be able to fly out like they're here and hurt themselves. So the muscles tense, and it's a case of getting them used to these positions, telling your body it's okay for my legs to be here, and the muscles finally relax over repetition, repetition, repetition. So the more often you can do a little bit of static stretching, then the more you can get used to these positions without the tension of the muscles. So if you were doing a sparring bout and you may be dynamically quite flexible, but if you've got big legs, and legs can be heavy, to be able to pick your leg up and kick takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort. So if you're having to do that and your legs are still quite stiff, it's going to zap some of your energy, take it out of your performance. So the more supple you are, the less energy it takes to kick and the more energy you have to put into your sparring bout. So try and use your static stretching at home. Give yourself a couple of days a week where you're going to do some static stretching. Maybe spend up to 20 minutes, half an hour doing different types of stretching, side stretches, hamstring stretches, butterfly stretches. If you're interested in doing stretching at home, then there's lots of information out there, or you can come and see your instructor, tell you which exercises that you should be doing and which you should not. Okay, static active stretching. If you are wanting to perform your patterns to the best of your ability, static active stretching is definitely something to involve in your regime, your training program. Okay, so a static stretch is where you sit and your legs are still. A static active stretch, your legs are still going to be still, but they're actively working because you're going to have one leg out and the other one down, and you're going to hold those positions. Okay, so you're building up strength in the core and the muscles that support the leg in that different position, and it's going to work for when you're doing your patterns and you have lovely kicks that you can perform slowly because you've built up the muscles. You're doing static active stretching. So a good system we use is we call it pumps, locks and holds, and you can do them for side kicks, turner kicks and front kicks, even hook kicks, and you can strengthen the parts of your body. So it's good if you have something to hold on to support your weight. What we mean by pumps is if you were doing side kick, you're holding on, you pick a set, a number, 20, 30, however much you think you can go with, and you pump the leg out that many times into that technique. That's a pump. A lock is where you're going to pump and hold and back. Pump and hold and back. So you do a set of 20 or 30 of those, and then the hold itself is just to hold it for a count of 20 or 30. So what you tend to do is pick one leg up, do 20 pumps, 20 locks, and then a 20 hold, all without putting that foot down on the ground, to build up the core stability and strength that's needed to do that, and to build up the leg muscles that it takes to do that as well. So obviously you're going to need to incorporate some dynamic stretching, some static stretching, but static active is going to build the muscles to make you able to be able to kick and hold those techniques with good balance to perform in your ITF tool. Okay, the final stretching we're going to talk about is isometric stretching, or PNF, which is a system based around relaxing muscles. So when you're stretching, you're trying to relax the muscles to increase the range of movement in your legs that you're stretching. So if you think about how muscles work, if I pick a weight up, I'm working the bicep of my arm. The opposing muscle, the tricep, is relaxing. If I push the other way, tricep is working and the bicep is relaxing. So the idea is that you stretch, taking a side stretch as an example, I would stretch my legs out, and when I get to a position where I think that's comfortable, I can't go any further without a bit of pain, I push again, so I squeeze my feet into the floor, and by pushing the opposite direction, by pulling my legs in, the muscles that want to go out relax, and the only reason I'm not able to go out is because the muscles are tense. So if I can relax those muscles, they will go further. So the idea is you grip the floor and you count to maybe 10 seconds. As soon as you get to 10 seconds, relax and slide your legs a little bit further, but then immediately start gripping again to relax those muscles that are opposing the stretch. And you repeat until it literally will not go any further. Then you just grip and hold for another 10, 15 seconds, and then relax. Stand up, have a little walk around, circle your hips, get your legs moving again. Repeat the exercise maybe another 2 to 3 times. And PNF, isometric stretching, is one of the most proven ways to increase your static flexibility. So you can do it with side stretching, like I demonstrated. You can do it with a forward stretch. You need to squeeze the floor and relax those muscles, and then increase the stretch little by little. Okay, so that's stretching explained. 5 types of stretching: dynamic, ballistic, static active, and PNF, also known as isometric stretching. Try and incorporate them all into a nice little routine, nice program. Set yourself a weekly program of when and where you're going to be doing your stretching. Prove your flexibility. Set yourself some goals, long-term goals, short-term goals. Don't expect too much improvement too soon. Quite often when you start to use muscles and you're tiring them out, sometimes you see a little dip in improvement before you see the big climb. Okay, so set yourself a long-term goal, set yourself a short-term goal, and give yourself a picture. What I like to do is download a picture of someone off the internet doing something fantastic, like a vertical axe kick like this, and every time I get a little bit, I can't be bothered to train, I find that picture, I look at that picture and remind myself why I started to stretch and improve my flexibility, because I want to look like that. I want to be able to do that. Give yourself that drive to take yourself further.